welcome to the Black Women Will Save Black Women, the podcast where we support, amplify, validate, and elevate Black women always. I'm your host, Kamika 𝗔𝗲𝘀, and this is our sanctuary, a space built on the belief that when Black women show up for each other, we don't just survive, we save. This is more than a podcast, it's a movement, so let's get into it. For this week's Fail Forward Files, I got a story for y'all, but I'm going to just start by saying, don't sign up for shit else until you finish what is in front of you. So yesterday, I went to have lunch with my line sister, who I thought we were just going to have lunch. Little did I know, she was prepared to read me for complete filth. See Carla, shout out to Carla. She's also a executive coach, and she came really prepared to help coach me and get me on track. I thought really we were just going to eat some salads, catch up on some things, but she was ready to do a mind map on me. She wanted to just really get into what I had going on in my life because I've always had a tendency to do too much. She's known that since we were online together. So she sat down, brought out her notebook, did a mind map, listed out all the things I was dabbling in, and the general conclusion that we both reached is that I was doing extremely too much. And the question more from her was, why? Like many Black women, our minds are clearly racing at 1,000,000 miles an hour. We have a ton on our never-ending to-do list, and someone always needs us. But I'm really beginning to think the reason why so many of us have been let go this year is that the universe, God, Allah, whoever you believe in, was saying, Black women, you need to rest, okay? You need to take a break, take a beat, sit back, relax. You got to take a rest. And make no mistake, 500,000 Black women being let go this year is not by accident. And then, after last year's election, 92% of us decided we're going to allow white people to fix the problems that they decided to create. And then with everything going on this year, I think maybe the collective action for the community to do is really rest and relax and to stop doing too much. As a society, I really believe that we're overstimulated. There are too many shows. There's too many options. You can order food from 40 different places. Our minds are just out of whack, and we need to rest. So like Carla told me yesterday, as a collective, let's take this holiday season that we're in right now to collectively rest. Do not sign up for anything else. Do not go back to school. Do not make a resolution list. I'll have a whole nother segment on that and why they do not work anyways, because it's winter and all this other stuff. But I want to just remind everyone, especially Black women who are listening, that rest is just a part of our regular regimen. We don't need to earn rest. It's okay, ladies, to just exhale for a minute. So take this time out and rest. I'm Kamika 𝗔𝗲𝘀, certified ACC professional coach and CEO of Fail Forward Coaching. At Fail Forward Coaching, professional growth isn't one size fits all. That's why we've created 3 ways to support you. DOT for building clarity and direction, RISE for resilience and intentional action, and VISION for long-term strategy and leadership. Each program is designed to help you move through setbacks with confidence and clarity and create momentum that lasts. No pressure, no hustle, just real progress. Ready to explore what's possible? Book a free discovery call at failforwardcoaching.com. All right. I am super excited about this week's guest. Kiona Owens. Kiona Owens is a cultural diplomat, strategic advisor, and diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility executive committed to advancing inclusive innovation across Africa and the diaspora. Formerly the senior DEIA advisor and cultural diplomat to Africa at the U.S. Agency for International Development. She transformed her 2024-25 federal layoff into a platform for legacy by founding the Global Beauty and Innovation Exchange, GBIE. GBIE bridges Africa's creative economy and the diaspora through inclusive beauty, STEM-based cosmetic science education, and cross-border partnerships that empower underrepresented founders. Through her work, Kiona blends diplomacy, creativity, and systems thinking to expand equity and ownership in global markets. Let's welcome to the sanctuary, Kiona Owens. Hey, Kiona.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me here.
Thank you so much for coming and being willing to share your story. I'm really excited to hear about like your journey and kind of how we've arrived to where we're at right now. But let's start with the basics and the foundations. Tell us what happened with you losing your job.
Absolutely. So, I kind of am taken aback just thinking about it now in this moment, but there were murmurings that were happening around the rollbacks of DEI, and we knew that it could be a thing that would be realized pretty soon after the Trump administration came into the White House. What we didn't know is that it would be like our first day back around the return to the office time. During this time, a lot of people had been on teleworking status or like situational telework status, and after the election it was like it's time to come back into buildings. Downtown DC isn't really making a lot of money in terms of economy because people are staying at home, so let's bring you all back to work. So this was like the first week of us really returning into the office. And when I came in, each bureau, for the most part, within the U.S. Agency for International Development had their own DEIA practitioner, and I was the advisor assigned to the Africa Bureau. So when I came in, it was very quiet. It was a bit dim and kind of gloomy that day, very cold outside. And, my supervisor pulled me into the office and just started talking to me a bit about like my transferable skills, talked about my reassignment options, any contacts I had throughout the agency, because it seemed that some staff, in particular executive level staffers, were being either placed in an administrative leave status or being let go altogether. He then informed me that I would be having a follow-up conversation with another executive or principal within our office, who pretty much at that point told me, this is really about to happen. You're getting ready to be placed in an administrative leave status, and that I could pretty much go home for the rest of the day. What I did appreciate during that time was that we have what I would call like a community of practice of DEIA practitioners at USAID. So our chief diversity officer and our deputy chief diversity officer at the time pretty much convened all of us together and really created a safe space for us to have conversation around what was happening. We would typically be the persons who would do that within the agency for our colleagues. So this was just an intimate space for us to really talk about what was going on and, think about whether the mission was just too big and why our work was being kind of deduced and not being taken seriously for what it was. And we really just, hugged on each other, loved on each other. We went out for drinks afterwards and we said our goodbyes until we waited at home for us to receive like our formal paperwork in terms of what the next steps would look like and what it meant to be placed on administrative leave. So that lasted from maybe January of 2024 through
You mean 2025?
January
Yeah.
2025 through July 1st. And then after July 1st, we went through a series of just receiving incorrect information on our RIF status. RIF stands for reduction in force, for those who don't know. And it pretty much determines who gets let go first. It could depend on, how long you have been in the federal government. It could depend on what your position is in the federal government, if it's considered essential or not. And what we found that the majority of the people who were working in the DEIA space were the ones who were being let go first. So they were essentially giving us incorrect RIF procedures and placing us in a RIF status before people who would, probably fall on the list of being placed in a RIF status prior to us because of our tenure in the federal government. So after July 1, they gave us our RIF notices and pretty much just let us go.
But you were in like a limbo for over 6 months trying to figure out, do I have a job? Am I going to another department? How are you managing through so much uncertainty? And like, we understand, this group that we're speaking with understands what this administration is really saying when they want to get rid of DE and in your case, I love the emphasis on the accessibility because I think people sometimes forget about that. But
Yeah.
like, walk us through that emotional roller coaster for 6 months, not knowing whether or not you were having a job, you were gonna go to another department. Like, kind of tell me about those feelings.
It was definitely a roller coaster. I felt a range of emotions from anger, sadness. I was a bit exhausted, really feeling like I was going through the different stages of like what it meant to process the grief at that time. Some days I slept and rest more than others. Other times I was just like putting my advocacy into play and was like, you spent the majority of your federal career doing civil rights advocacy, human rights advocacy work. You gotta fight for yourself. So that would be, the thing that would get me out of bed every day, and really figure out how to navigate the legal processes in order to make sure that what was happening was not necessarily justified, but was legal. Um, Other times I was, at some points applying for opportunities, but also being told that we couldn't take on another job because we were still technically employees at the time. So it was just a lot, like you mentioned, a lot of uncertainty, and really, tapping into our small community of practice during that time to really just shit talk and lean into each other, and just love up on each other and give each other the support that we needed in that moment.
So when you finally got the final status, like, hey, I'm done. You're no longer an employee. You're getting your last check. What was those next couple of weeks, days like?
I was convinced that during that time that I was going to fight. It was just a matter of figuring out which process I wanted to take, because, in the federal sector, when you plan to grieve or file a complaint, whatever avenue you want to go about in seeking redress, you can only pick one at a time. So I wanted to be intentional. At the time, it was a lot of pro bono attorneys really pouring into the DEIA, practitioners offering to take some of our cases on for free. And then what we started seeing is like a slew of class action cases that were popping up across the country. During this time, it was this DEI list, kind of like a headhunter list that went out, and it started naming people who were, at the executive level in this space doing this type of work, to say, pretty much call people out outright. And if you didn't list people who were doing this work, or they were trying to hide the work in other parts of work within federal agencies, that you would also be put in a RIF status and let go. So we found that we were a bit under attack because of the work that we were doing. And it was just exhausting thinking about, is somebody going to call me out, but also thinking about, they're getting the RIF notices wrong. How is this going to affect my pay, my take home pay, all of my benefits, so on and so forth. On top of that, not only was USAID uniquely positioned, we were one of the agencies that was being dismantled and let go. So in the process of, again, us being RIF, they were trying to figure out which employees would stay behind to actually shut down the agency. So it was just a hot mess, honestly.
So July 1st, or what day was the final day, final paycheck, all that?
So I'm still receiving severance pay after so from February, January through July, I was again in the administrative leave status. So I was receiving my biweekly paychecks. After July 1st, that's when the severance checks started hitting. So those were coming in also on a biweekly status. And depending on your tenure within the federal service, determine how long you would be getting paid and how much you would be getting paid. And then another thing that was happening during that time, maybe like 3 months after July, we folks who were vested in the federal government were able to receive their paychecks for the lump sum of their leave that they had accrued over time. So we got paid out for that also. And then, of course, being able to access our thrift savings plans, um, and other like investment accounts that we had access to through our work and our career in the federal service.
How many years were you with them?
So I was at USAID from April 2020 until that July 2025 date. But prior to that, totally combined, I had about 19 years of federal government experience.
So you've been working for the federal government for almost 2 decades.
Yeah.
And we were told when we were growing up that federal government jobs are what?
Your good government job, your good safe job. And that was honestly, like, I'm a creative. I've always been a creative. And I early in my career, like straight out of college, I turned down awesome opportunity that would have taken me out of DC and up in New York. And because of that good government job thing that was murmuring in my ear from my mother, who, was a first generation professional, and me being a first generation college grad, I felt like I needed that safety and didn't really go towards my passion and did what I felt was safe. Because I have so many years of federal service, part of that is because I came in when I came back to the DC area. I was able to get like a summer clerical position, and then that transitioned into a stay in school opportunity, and then like a career entry program type of role. And since then, just worked my way up in the federal service up until like the executive level. And that was how I was able to like get all of that time that I invested in over the years to go towards my federal service time.
And where did you go to college? Just tell the people.
The illustrious Howard University.
So Kiona's like our third HU grad. My best friend is smiling somewhere because we keep getting HU grads, which is not necessarily the best thing, but I'm just like I have to make sure you guys shout it out because she, as a HU grad herself, and me being her date on many homecomings, we understand the quality and caliber of women who have came from that university. Okay, we clocking
Absolutely.
it. Yes. So it's interesting that you said that you decided to delay your creative pursuits to get this good government job, which I want to bring us to what you're kind of working on now eventually. But I want to talk a little bit about like your decision to are you looking right now? Are you deciding to go back to the workforce, or do you want to just exclusively kind of pursue GBIE?
So I really have appreciated being able to like put all of my interests and attention into my creative passion. It's so crazy because the Howard Network is something serious, and during the time of I've always had other gigs outside of government doing the creative work through my consultancy, creative enterprise consults. um, but Howard had an opportunity for alumni to be a part of this accelerator program through L'Oreal at the time. And it really gave us opportunity to have like mentorship, a one-on-one recruiter relationship, um, business networking skills to really grow the pipeline of Black women executives in the beauty space. So I was a part of that inaugural cohort while that was happening, actually prior to that happening, because what really sparked my interest in being a part of that cohort and applying to it was my daughter from third grade had enrolled in her school science fair, and she didn't necessarily have an interest in science. So we were trying to conceptualize ideas that would be interesting enough for her to like be able to get up there and present all of the things on her own. So what she came up with was like, what natural products and essential oils best help detangle my hair based on my 4C hair type. So she ended up going through the whole scientific method to figure it out. Her hypothesis was wrong. And she was like, mommy, I'm really interested in this. We went back, we reworked it, and it ended up um, her being a small business owner and selling hair detangler. So she was the first inaugural winner of DC's small business pitch contest for the youth segment. And I helped her create a website. She started selling it not only at markets, but she kind of opened up her e-commerce site, was able to get some grant funding for like shelf life sustainability testing and all of these like really sciencey chemistry things that she wasn't really aware of at the time, or even knew that she could create a career after that. I was also exposing her to things like the National Society of Black Engineers Junior, the Howard University chapter. And from that, this beauty thing just kind of stuck around. So it was like always in the background. And I really got the opportunity to understand that it was this STEM exploration that people weren't tapping into by way of beauty and cosmetic science. And at the time, we were talking about doing STEM kits, and it was just so many ideas that were being thrown around. And then with me being in the cultural diplomacy space, specifically in Africa, I had the opportunity to work on assignments that included like creating fair trade agreements with women in Africa who were growing shea, and being able to help connect them with consumers and small independent businesses in the US who were selling beauty products, and making sure that they were able to earn a fair, livable wage. And from that, I was just like, this is something that's needed. My daughter, now in 10th grade at a technology high school here in DC, has this interest in becoming a cosmetic chemist or a chemical engineer from that early exposure. So we were trying to think about ways that this could truly be an immersive experience where we would take people, girls and youth from the US over to Africa and had like a cross cultural exchange experience and opportunity. And that's really what kind of birthed the Global Beauty and Innovation Exchange program.
I think it's so interesting that your daughter is the one that helped kind of birth this entrepreneur like venture for you, when your mom is the one that told you to go get your good government job, right? Like
Yeah.
it's that dichotomy between like the different generations that really can like affect how we pursue and go down different paths. So your daughter wants to work for someone else, or does she want to do this on her own when she eventually becomes a chemist? Because I'm claiming it for her.
So I think right now she's still doing the detangler as a passion project. I think it's something, to show on your resume as well as in the admissions process, with our eyes on Spelman, because they're the first HBCU that's offering this cosmetic science degree program. They also have um, a certificate program for folks who may, not be interested in going to an undergraduate university or receiving an undergraduate degree right away, which I think is very significant because that may not be everyone's path. But right now, and again, I think it's more of like a passion project for her to do this while also trying to get internships. And then ultimately, I think her goal is to be an entrepreneur. She's been wanting to do like a double major with a business and entrepreneurship background. So I think she is wanting to do her own thing.
I love that for her. What about moms? What about Kiona? What are we really trying to do?
So I feel like um, legacy is big for me, right? So I feel that at times I have to carry my family on my shoulders, and I feel like I've been doing that for a long time by way of having, your traditional job. But now I do feel like I am getting into the me stage. My girls, I have two girls, one 13, one 16, who are getting a little bit older, and I'm starting to think more about just me and what I want this second half of my life and career to look like. Because I'm in the 40 club now, the 40 and
Welcome.
over club.
Hey now, black don't crack. We
Yeah,
look good. Let's go.
thank you.
Eh.
Um, so while Chloe really birthed the beauty concept and what GBIE is growing to be. Another part of like that government experience and that diplomacy and culture work still lives within me. So I'm looking to intersect those not only in the beauty space, but also in entertainment and sports and arts. So more recently, I connected with a grassroots organization in Kenya who is also looking to intersect tech with my beauty platform to help grow the local economy there, specifically for young girls and women who are pregnant and are not looking to be homemakers, and trying to educate them in the tech space and how they can make their own money from product formulation to being a virtual assistant, coding, AI, etc., and kind of again bridging those two sectors so that we can help women in Africa, girls in Africa, um, earn a livable wage and be able to take care of themselves and their families.
So, are we going to pursue another corporate job?
I don't think we're pursuing another corporate job at this time.
Mm. How
I
do you?
know when I talked to you last, I was kind of on the fence, but I feel like everything that I'm doing, even in my conversations with like my closest family and friends, it really is lending to that entrepreneurship.
What do you feel like is your next, or what do you feel like is the next thing you need in order for you to be fully immersed in this entrepreneurial journey?
I think for me, it's what I'm thinking about, like my intellectual property assets and what will really take me forward is just really the funding. So I'm thinking about needing funding to really expand the cosmetic science program. When I talk to other people about what it is that I'm doing, I'm conceptualizing, what curriculum development could look like, making sure that we're including things that are very foundational level, and those who want to kind of take it a little bit further, making sure that we have scientists, chemists, etc., who can kind of pour in and help out there. Um, Funding to again take some of the youth from, I'm in DC, so I initially am starting with a summer program in DC, but take some of the youth to Africa to really immerse them in the experience, let them be able to maybe do pitch contests while they're there, see what maker spaces look like, and vice versa. Um, Also, being able to make sure that we have, right now, we are talking with a potential partner who is a new maker space in DC, but making sure that we're able to pay them to use the space as a potential learning hub, um, products, STEM kits, lab coats, that type of thing. So definitely looking for strategic partnerships, some type of like corporate partnership and funders who can really help us realize this dream.
I love it. I love that you are leaning fully into what you're calling your dream, but I'm just calling it the second career of Kiona at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
I love it. So, as we wrap it up, what is your ask from the community? How would you like to be saved?
I'm definitely looking to connect with community by way of, again, I'm looking for funders, I'm looking for foundations, I'm looking for corporations and supporters who really believe in growing creative ecosystems. In this particular instance, those who have connections in the beauty world, looking for resources to help fund these things, whether it's by way of products, people who are experienced in the STEM field. I'm looking to connect with you all and really just grow this business to be what I think it could be, which is, a global beauty phenomenon.
I love it. So my girl Kiana is looking for the hookup, y'all. I already have somebody in mind I want to connect you with. Like, don't let me forget because perimenopause. But she's looking for the hookup. Okay, so if you know someone at any of these products, these cosmetic brands, if you're in the DC area, if you are experiencing grant writing, I'm a throw all kinds of darts out there. Like, we want to pour into Kiana. I really think that this could be something phenomenal, especially from the STEAM perspective. STEAM, both of them.
Yeah,
Is it STEM? Well, no, STEAM.
it's STEAM with the A. It's STEAM.
With the A is STEAM. Yeah. STEM, we know. STEAM with the A, okay?
Yeah.
So I really want to make sure that, we can really like give her what she needs during this time to get her over the hump. I don't want her to lose momentum. Do not lose momentum, girl, because the last time we talked, when we did our intake, I do intake calls, y'all, with everyone before we do our interviews. And when I talked to Kiana, she was like, girl, I think I'm gonna need to go get me another job. And I'm like, oh, okay. Now she's all in, and I want her to stay that way, okay? So we're gonna take this energy and run with it and run to the finish line. I'm excited to see what happens next. So thank you, Kiana, for being a guest today. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate you and I love this platform and I love what you're doing. And I really thank you for allowing me to be here and contribute in this space and receive from the women who will save me.
I believe it's going to happen. I believe it's going to happen. Thanks for coming on, sis.
Absolutely.
All right, to wrap up today, our save strategy for the week. Let's lean into the V this week, y'all, the validate, okay? As I mentioned at the top of the show, my own failure is that in my effort to do the most, I find myself doing a disservice. So I want to validate that it is okay to rest during the season. Okay, girl, take a break. Not only do you deserve it, but if you really want to level up in 2026, rest cannot be optional. The grind is not cute anymore. Running on team no sleep is definitely not even feasible in your 40s, okay? Ask me how I know, because I spent my 20s running on team no sleep. No, your good sis right here needs at least 9 hours. 8, that's not enough. I need 9, okay? And if I'm being truthfully and honest, I need about 10. But taking rest does not necessarily mean that you are weak. And also, rest does not necessarily equate to spa days or vacations. I want you to give yourself a break and grace that we know that we need. The kind of grace and breaks that we would tell our best friend to take if we saw them doing the most. The girlfriend that's planning to do the Christmas party, who's buying all her kids gifts, who's planning to cook all her bomb ass recipes for the holidays. She's doing too much. Not only do I want us to rest from physical labor, I want us to rest in the fact that you do not have to be productive in order to show value and to be loved. No is a complete sentence these holidays, and I really want you to be validated in the fact that you are enough just on your own. So take a break, sis. I'm not playing with y'all. Take some rest. Like, turn it off, shut down, be still. You don't even have to get on your phone and scroll, y'all. Just be still, be bored a little bit. Boredom creates and breeds creativity. Just an FYI, I can get into all the science behind it, but just take a break. Get ready for the next year by taking a break. And that is all we have for today's episode of Black Women Will Save Black Women. Remember, support, amplify, validate, elevate. That is how we save. And never forget, Black women will save Black women. I'm your host, Kamika Dillard. See you next week in the sanctuary.